Mount Enterprise.
That's correct. So I remember that too. I remember the Weather Service folks saying just east of Rusk and near Reclaw, which is where we have one of our reporters soon to arrive there, and we'll bring you coverage of that when we can, when they are there safely and able to report for us. I'm sure it's taken a little while to get in. But once it got east of Highway 69, let's say it that way, that's when the storm intensified and intensified very quickly. So much so that we had a tornado on the ground in Reclaw. Also, in between Reclaw and Sackle, we had some significant, a significant tornado looked like coming through there. It came nearby to Cushing, and it continued along Highway 84, in between Highway 84 and Highway 259, into Mount Enterprise, where we just had our Isaac Ramirez give us an update where the rain is still falling there. And then it continued on a northeast path, headed into southwest Panola County, northwest Shelby County, but mainly into sections of Panola County near Buncombe, Dotson, where we had the tornado continue to be on the ground, Daniels, near Antioch. Even near Antioch, we had a major tornado debris signature on that. That's actually a really good one. Let me finish this one. I'm going to send that over to you. I'm glad that you brought that one up there, Carson. And then continue toward Deadwood. And here's where we're at right now. A potential tornado just, this will be south of Shreveport and Bossier City, but still a supercell and a very tight signature there on the radar as that continues to move away. So this storm potentially on the ground for a very long time. Let me send it over to Carson here. This is a very unique product, Carson. Go ahead.
Yeah. So this is the shear swath. Anytime we have signs of rotations or particularly strong winds, that could be from a tornado, this will show up on your screen. So as we mentioned, just to the south of Rusk, that is initially where we had this confirmed tornado that was on the ground, and you look at just the track of this thing, those reds that are showing up on your screen right there, that indicates very strong rotation. Now, I'm actually going to take this a little further to the southwest. To the southwest of Rusk, to the west of Salem, this is where the tornado warning was issued prior to 6:30 this evening. Now, that tracked to the south of Rusk, parallel to U.S. Highway 84 near Reclaw. We had some reported damage in Reclaw, again along U.S. Highway 84. Dextra to the northwest of Cushing right there along the Panola and Shelby County line. Some red showing up there. But what's really interesting about this was what we saw, and again, Valley Grove, Mount Enterprise as well along U.S. Highway 259, and it did potentially track to the north of U.S. Highway 84 as it got into Sulphur Springs. That, of course, is the Sulphur Springs in southern Rusk County. And then it went into Mount Enterprise. And I'm just kind of zooming out. And then we had lots of reports of damage in Dotson. But look what happens to the product right here. These yellows start showing up. Yellows, that's very, very strong rotation. And you can see that by the key up here, the banner. Extreme at times. That was right around Dotson, so I'm curious to see what reports we see out of Dotson. That was to the south of Long Branch, and then it continued into sections of Panola County to the south of Clayton. Again, to the south of State Highway 315, you can see that right there. And then it tracked to the south of Carthage, and about right in this area, right here, that's where we got those photos. Near Antioch, Pleasant Ridge, it crossed U.S. Highway 259. It was about 2 miles to the southeast. That's where we got the picture of the stovepipe tornado, meaning it was a large tornado. And then it moved into sections of eastern Panola County to the south of Midyet, along Farm to Market Road 2517. We've said that road name several times. And then just to the north of Deadwood, and we were seeing, you know, remember the debris being lofted in the air right there, and then it eventually pushed off just to the south of Centennial along County Road 321. So to recap that, this is where the tornado tracked, and you can see the supercell thunderstorm from Rusk along Highway 284, eventually traveling just to the south of State Highway 315 there. We pull up the radar, and that's exactly where it tracked. So just very, very impressive. One of the most impressive supercell thunderstorms I've seen here in East Texas to recent memory. So definitely noteworthy, and unfortunately we're going to continue to get these damage reports in. I know Isaac's down in Mount Enterprise. He's tracking that for us. But to the north, we still have a tornado warning that is in effect for sections of Marion and Harrison County, but that will eventually slide off to the east. Not as an impressive rotation, but we still need to treat this like it's a tornado on the ground. We look at velocity, perhaps some broad rotation, but again, this is very low, so this could be much tighter than it actually is. The hook on it sure makes it seem like it's a lot tighter near Shoreline and Oil City. Again, this is in the Caddo Lake area. I don't care where you live on Caddo Lake, you need to be seeking shelter right now. But here, probably in the next 5 or 10 minutes, this will start to push into sections of Louisiana. But you can see this hook well defined, not quite as well defined as the storm that moved through Panola County not too long ago. But again, this is starting to slide, and it will move over the Red River here in the not too distant future. Near Caddo Lake, and again, this is really starting to push into sections of Louisiana, which is good news for us in Texas. But you know, you look at the storm that affected us; it's now in Louisiana, but unfortunately, for people that live along Interstate 49 to the south of Shreveport, right there, very dangerous situation for them. And if you do know anybody in that area, I don't care if you're in Palestine, Athens, Tyler, Longview, you guys are not under a tornado threat, but what you can do if you're watching our live coverage on the air, you can give your friends a call anywhere from Mansfield, well actually not Mansfield, but just to the south of Shreveport along Interstate 49. Give them a call. Don't assume they know what's going on, because they probably don't. We do have a tornado that is heading straight for just to the south of Shreveport, anybody that lives along Interstate 49 there. But for us, we are starting to see, you know, our tornado threat for right now decrease a little bit. That doesn't mean we can't have these storms tighten up once again. We're not quite out of the woods yet, Marcus.
No, not just yet. And we have to keep an eye on these additional storms that have moved in. Let me show you the reports of tornadoes that we've had, and you can kind of get a general idea on where the storm moved through. We first got that very first report that a tornado touched down. This was located 6 miles to the southwest of Reclaw, or just southeast of Rusk. Notice here, Storm Chaser reported a tornado on the ground crossing 343. Then we got our second report just southeast of Reclaw, that trees down near Highway 204 near the Rusk County line. And we've certainly had confirmed reports of damage in Mount Enterprise, probably continuing along this track off to the north and northeast near Valley Grove, Mount Enterprise. And then we got an additional report. This is right along the Panola and Rusk County line, actually in southwest Panola County, that multiple trees were down. This is Farm to Market Road 999. And the roads there reported impassable. And as far as we know now, we've seen it confirmed via the radar debris signature that we saw on the East Texas Storm Team radar, that we had a tornado touchdown south of Carthage and pretty much just came crossing over Highway 59 there north of Tenaha near Antioch, Buncombe, Daniels, Antioch. Large hail reported in the Carthage area, and then Deadwood. In between Antioch and Deadwood, we saw the debris signature really begin to increase there over this particular area. So at this point, all of the storms, all of the tornado warned storms, I should say, have pulled away. Okay, there's still a warning technically for Harrison and Marion County, but that threat now over in Bossier and Caddo parishes now primarily. Carson was pointing that out near the oil field area. That's where we're still seeing the possible rotation there. So these storms have now pushed away and head off to the east, but we still have some additional areas of thunderstorms that we do need to keep a close eye on, particularly as these storms move in and approach near the Jacksonville area. We've got some heavier rainfall, most likely some lightning. Also coming in with this storm, maybe not as much over this area, but certainly you've got some lightning there. And we're not finding, at least from the rotation standpoint, we're not finding any sort of wind issue here. This looks so more in the line of generic, general showers and thunderstorms, maybe some small hail associated with that. That stretches back down toward Palestine, and that will continue to move off to the east here over the next couple of hours. And even back into portions of Upshur County too, you also are still seeing a couple of thunderstorms that have passed through over your area east of Gilmer. This will be near Highway 259 that runs through the Ore City area, and that will continue to head off to the east here at this current moment. Let me kind of give a reset. We still have the tornado watch that is in effect for us now, and that will go until 11 o'clock. We still have all the counties that were issued under this watch from a bit earlier still remaining in effect at this time. And I expect this to probably continue just for a little bit longer. We'll have to analyze and get some additional data to see where we are at, one, with the cold front, two, where the drier air is located, because those will help us determine if more counties can be removed from this watch here over the next few hours. But there you can see in the red boxes, that's where your tornado warnings are. As a matter of fact, it just trimmed off for Marion and Harrison County. Carson?
Okay, Marcus, so what I'm going to do right here is we're just going to give a recap of where this storm came from, how it developed, and where it's heading off to right now. So here is the radar. This was 528. It was in Anderson County. We were tracking this. I was concerned with this exact storm when we went on the air at 5 o'clock. Now notice as it pushes into Cherokee County right here, that is when it started to strengthen a little bit. Initially, it was showing signs of weakening in Anderson County, but eventually it strengthened over Rusk, and there's your tornado warning. Go ahead and pause this, Alex. This is 6:16, and it occurred right over Rusk. Just radar indicated. And we zoom in just a little bit, and not much to this. A little bit of a hook, enough to warrant the tornado warning from our friends at the National Weather Service in Shreveport. But notice what happens as this starts to slide off to the north and to the east. We pause that. That's about where we had the confirmed tornado warning. It was actually a little further off to the west, but again, to the west of Mount Enterprise. Let's track it over Mount Enterprise right here and pause. There we go. And just look how well defined this storm gets right here over Mount Enterprise. That is why we saw the damage that we saw. This was at about 7 o'clock. Minden probably picked up a little bit of hail. Oak Flats probably picked up a little bit of hail as well. And then it tracked into Panola County near Dotson. Go ahead and pause it right there, Alex. Along State Highway 315, Clayton, we were really concerned with you guys at this point. This is 724. This was off to the north of Dotson. Of course, I think Dotson probably sustained a little bit of damage as well. Very pronounced hook. The storm, it's keeping its wits about us. And then eventually it slid just to the south of Carthage and about right here. Pause it right there. South of Carthage, U.S. Highway 59, it was to the east of that point. Notice what starts to form. Indication that the storm is strengthening. We've got something that's called a debris ball, where we do have an area that kind of looks like a ball near Antioch. And this is debris. This isn't rain, this isn't hail or anything like that. And this was at about 7:45, so only about 45 minutes ago. We continue to track this off to the north and east near Deadwood and Centennial, and then it starts to slide off into Louisiana. And this storm, unfortunately, is keeping its wits about us as it pushed into Louisiana. So just an incredible storm. We worry about these kinds of days all the time. This was what we like to call a long-track supercell thunderstorm, which is something we don't often see, but typically see a few times a year here in East Texas. But certainly that's where you can get the strong tornadoes like what we saw today. Marcus?
Okay, we are going to end our weather coverage. We're going to leave